Hello, Suplex fans. It's time for the Wrestling Podcast. 10 minutes of wrestling chat with your buddy CW. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to hit that bell on YouTube and get notified when new episodes go live. And subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcasting app. Tell a friend or two. Tell your wrestling buds about this show. And let's get some new people in here. Get some new blood. Get some new comments. I want to hear your comments, guys. I have a question for you. Are you enjoying Seth Freakin Rollins and his World Heavyweight Championship run? Leave your answers in the comments. I'm excited to hear what you think. Here's my answer. Yes, with, a but. I love Seth Rollins as champ. I think he's great. I think he's, I was going to say the future of the business, but he is the present of the business, which is just as good. You got to live in the present. And I think he makes a great champ. I think he's booked poorly as champ. Seth Rollins comes off as indestructible, which as a champion is great. He doesn't really have any vulnerabilities. They tried to give him one with the whole Shinsuke Nakamura angle, which I think was great that they didn't capitalize on, where they said his back was, broken and Shinsuke was going to capitalize on that and, cripple him and take his belt and all this great stuff. None of it happened. And then the most inexplicable thing happened. Seth Rollins won the match and then somehow got talked into putting up his title again with Shinsuke. Shinsuke didn't ask for it. Seth Rollins said, I'm going to wrestle you again for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then Shinsuke told him no. And there was this weird back and forth they had that made no sense. And it really made me think about the booking of Seth Rollins. There's no rhyme or reason to it. He hands out championship matches to anyone all the time. He's wrestling on Raw, and that's great. The fact that he wrestles for this title on Raw is great. That's the whole point of the title. Roman was never around, so this was like a counter that here's a World Heavyweight title that you can, defend on Raw, and you'll have your every week champion. That's great. But the fact that it doesn't seem like there's any rules around who gets a title shot baffles me. It bugs me, honestly. I'm a guy who loves having some sort of structure around my ridiculous wrestling. The reason being, when you have parameters that you have to stay within, you can get super creative. If there are no rules, then everything is wishy-washy and nothing makes any sense, right? You want the boundaries so you know when you can push them. And Seth Rollins has no boundaries. And the reason I say that is because a couple weeks ago, Jinder Mahal faced off with The Rock. And The Rock cut him down on the mic and then absolutely beat his ass. And 2 weeks later, Jinder Mahal is in a World Heavyweight Championship match with Seth Rollins. And the only reason he is because Seth Rollins, in kayfabe, Seth Rollins handed him a title opportunity the week after getting beat up by The Rock. Why? Because he's a fighting champion or whatever. So you're telling me in kayfabe in wrestling, Seth can just make his own matches. It happens all the time, but Seth specifically can put that title on the line whenever he wants to whomever he wants, at any Raw. Does that sound like a good time? I get that Seth puts on banger matches, but why does every match have to be for the title? He's just systematically removing potential candidates out of his way, but he's also like demolishing people. He's like they've been people who stepped up where he should have lost in a really fantastic match and he won. People like Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, Drew McIntyre, like all these heavy hitters are just falling to Seth Rollins. And I understand that they're trying to build him to the potential match with CM Punk or whomever at WrestleMania, but the willy-nilly nature of him handing out title matches to everyone who walks up, it just rubs me the complete wrong way. It doesn't elevate him in a sense, and I think they're trying to box him in by saying, oh, I'm a fighting champion, so the wins matter, but I don't understand his thought process between like who gets a title shot and who doesn't, right? He handed one out to Sami Zayn, buried Sami Zayn. Gave one to Drew, buried Drew. Shinsuke, Finn, Jinder, everyone just keeps stepping up. He keeps burying them. He's like the damn Terminator. He comes out, he dances, he whoops he never seems phased or scared, which I guess is his character, but also it's hard to root for him because I'm like, well, he's going to win. He wrestles every Monday and he beats everybody for the title. There's no stakes in his title reign. When he drops the belt to whomever he drops it to, what do they pick up at that point? Do they continue his sort of like United States Championship style open challenge for the heavyweight title, or do they put rules around it? Do they put parameters? Do they say, no, you have to earn a title shot? I love the idea of records. I love the idea of having some sort of win-loss record for people so that you can see who deserves a shot in the world of professional wrestling, right? If it's any old person, why doesn't Chad Gable just challenge him and suplex him to death? Here's an even better question that you can ponder that I was thinking of. Why doesn't Damian Priest just ask for a world heavyweight title shot? Why does he keep running down to the ring with this dumb briefcase and threatening to cash in? Seth Rollins hands out title shots to everybody except Damian Priest. Dude, just walk up to him and say, I'm going to challenge you for the world heavyweight title. Not with my briefcase. I just want to wrestle you for the title. Is Seth going to tell him, no, you have to put the briefcase up? Why? Because there's rules attached to the briefcase, but not his title. You see where I'm going with this? Some things have rules, other things don't, and then they don't mesh, right? There's no rhyme or reason to why anything is happening with this world heavyweight title. So it doesn't really matter. It does feel like the United States Championship way back in the day when John Cena was walking around with it. Around that level of importance. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying it doesn't feel like it is equivalent to Roman Reigns' title, right? It's obviously not. But I felt like they were bringing that in to make it that. Like Rhea Ripley kind of has that, even though she sort of just gets handed opponents for her title. I believe she fought Ivy Nile for the title 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or something like that and buried her randomly. I don't understand the whole story behind these world heavyweight titles. I understand why they were brought in, but I don't get why they didn't establish some sort of rules for it. Gunther's title, for instance, feels way more important than the world heavyweight title. Way more important. I wish they would swap the two. I wish Gunther had the world heavyweight title and put the same level of importance that he put on the IC title on that one. That would be a more interesting run for me because I feel Gunther would hold it, and his whole gimmick of preserving the purity of professional wrestling would work really well with the world heavyweight title, that gold. And then Seth Rollins coming out every week to challenge someone for the IC title makes more sense for that title. But the flop, I can't get behind it too much. Again, I love Seth Rollins' run. He puts on banger matches every week. The man is a workhorse. He is the workhorse champion. I just wish they booked the belt to feel more weighty, more important. It doesn't have to be Roman Reigns level, 1,200-day streak level title. It doesn't have to be that. But it does have to have some sort of pecking order so that you know when someone is challenging for the title, they are a credible threat. Because Seth Rollins picks his own opponents, it's almost as if he's picking out all the weakest links. Because he's burying all of them. They put on like half a challenge. I'll go back to Shinsuke Nakamura. Fantastic build to their match with Shinsuke calling out his injury. That whole thing was fantastic. The promos, the subtitle on the screen, calling out his back injury, saying he was going to get vicious and target it, saying he was going to, put him on the shelf, send him home. He's never going to wrestle again, and then he's going to take that title and be world champ. That was the time to give Shinsuke that title. It would have put so much importance on the title. Instead, Seth Rollins beat him like 3 times in a row, and it didn't matter. And now he's still losing his way up the card. Good on you, Shinsuke, for losing your way to victories. That's the episode. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate you, and don't you ever forget.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.